Rayon here. Today's another build showcase. This time is Jade. She came out 2 days ago. So let us immediately start. So the shards I'm using are 2 yellow shards for cast speed. She really needs it because her abilities kind of cast very slow. In my opinion, this is a must-have for the mods. So she has a passive that she can equip 2 auras, which is pretty cool. So the auras I equipped is growing power, giving me ability strength, 25%. And I'm using this very uncommon aura that nobody uses, which squads take 24% reduced damage while airborne. This also affects you. And that synergy is really well with her ultimate ability, where you fly. And I'm also using reduced damage by 40% while airborne, aviator. And this also synergies really well with her ultimate ability. Also, her ultimate ability gives you 50% damage reduction. So she has a lot of survivability HP with these 2 mods and her ultimate. For the other mods, I'm using Blind Rage and Over Intensifies for ability strength, Reach and Stretch for ability range, Streamline and Flow, Prime Flow for energy economy, Prime Continuity for ability duration, and Archon Vitality for... We mostly use this to proc 2 heat instead of 1, and 2 of her abilities proc heat, and it pretty helps. It really helps. Also, it boosts her health by ×2. So instead of, what was it, 465, it becomes 930. Archon Vitality, there you are. So those are the mods. For the arcanes, I'm using Molt Augmented, Kill Stuff, Get Ability Strength, and Archon Velocity. On critical hit with secondaries, you get 120% fire rate. And her ultimate ability does spawn a... What do you even call it? It doesn't really spawn. She has like an exalted weapon that scales with pistol mods, so Arcane Velocity works with her, and it's, from my opinion, a must-have. Make her ultimate be even more powerful. So when it comes to the stats, very positive duration, negative energy, positive range, and very positive strength. This is overall, in my opinion, after multiple testing a lot of other mods, I find this pretty much the best build, in my opinion, for me. So yeah, those are the mods, the arcanes, the auras. For the abilities, I'll just go really fast, explain them. Passive, 2 auras. She also has something called Judgment. When enemies are affected with Judgment, you will see like a star above their head. They will pretty much increases the enemy damage vulnerable by 50% for 10 seconds. It says it right there. So it's very nice. Her 1, if you're inside a bubble, she does a bubble. If you're inside a bubble, you and your allies get health regeneration. If enemies are inside a bubble, they take damage. Enemies that they're inside a bubble, they also get Judgment proc. As you can see in this small video, it shows like enemies that have like stars above their heads. That's Judgment. Your allies can also see the Judgment mark, so yeah, it's pretty solid. For her second ability, she can switch between one of the 3 buffs. One of them is increases your ability strength and your allies' ability strength by 61%. Increases damage, weapon damage by 243%. Or you can switch it to shield regeneration and shield recharge delay. And it's a pretty solid one. Very cool thing about this ability. Once you use it, you don't need to recast it. You can immediately automatically switch, and doesn't have any cast time or anything. It's instantaneous, and it's very powerful. Another thing is when enemies are affected with Judgment, her first ability, which is her passive, or if you like use your ultimate ability or your first ability, procs Judgment, enemies you kill or your allies that kill enemies that are affected with Judgment, you get 2 seconds duration back on your second ability. You can see right there below the duration, below the 46.5, it says duration increase, Judgment 2 seconds. So enemies die while your second ability is on, you get 2 seconds back, and it's pretty much you can have this forever on you. It functions like Gaia's third ability and fourth ability augment. You know, when you kill enemies while your third ability, fourth ability is on, you will pretty much have it forever. It functions like that. It's very nice. Third ability. I will say this is her weakest ability. When you look at the direction 70 degrees, enemies slowly become slower, all the way caps to 90%. And after 4 seconds, their armor is completely stripped. So it says their defense reduction second 24%, which means every second their armor, 24% of the armor gets removed. And after the armor gets removed, they take 121.5 damage per second, and it's very unnoticeable. It only procs heat once, and after that you just do damage. And it's kind of weak, mostly because there are a lot of abilities in the game that you press one button and everybody in a 30-meter radius, the armor gets removed instantaneously, while this is a 70 degrees, and after 4 seconds, armor gets removed. And it's kind of, in my opinion, the weakest ability in their entire kit. Another thing is, maybe the coolest thing about her third ability, if your allies are down and you look at their direction, you don't need to get close to them to press X to revive them. You just have to look at their direction with your third ability on and you revive them. If 50 people were on the floor and you look at that direction, you revive all 50 of them in the same time. And it's a very powerful revive. I think I will say the best revive system in the entire game. And that's the only, I will say that's the best thing about her third ability, how unique it is because the revive system. Not a single Warframe has something like this in the game. There are abilities like Necros' one augment where you can just toss your one onto an ally and you instantaneously revive them. But this is just like looking at direction and you're reviving them, and it's pretty solid. Overall, it's a cool ability, but I will say it's the weakest one in their entire kit. For her ultimate ability, you fly, that's what you get 50% damage reduction. You shoot a projectile that explodes in a small AoE that does heat damage. She has an exalted weapon, so you can mod it. You need to remember, I will repeat myself again, she gets 50% damage reduction, which synergizes really well with these two. This one gives you 40% reduced damage while airborne, and this one gives you 24% reduced damage while airborne. And it's a really good survivability overall. You will be on this ultimate pretty much all the time. You can cast all of the abilities. Even if you remove one of these abilities, replace it with some kind of helmet ability, you can still use helmet abilities while in your ultimate, so it's pretty good. Not only that, your alternative fire mode, which is a middle mouse on PC, instead of 3.5 meter radius, it will be 7 meter radius. And also, if enemies are affected with judgment, it multiplies it by 1.5. As you can see, nearly at the very below, it says empowered range multiply 1.5. And it just becomes a massive AoE of massive burst damage, and it's pretty fucking powerful. Another thing is, when you shoot your first ability, there's a 10% chance to proc judgment. And there's a massive synergy with 1 and 4th ability, which I'm going to show you very, very soon. But the last thing to explain and show is Glory. Glory is her exalted weapon. The way I mod it is corrosion and heat. You can do viral. There you go. You can do viral and heat. It comes with heat, so I put prime heated charge for even more heat, which synergizes really well with Archon Vitality, which is this mod here. Status effect from ability to deal heat damage will be applied twice, because her ultimate is a ability, and when you shoot it, instead of proccing what heat, you proc 2, and it's very, very good. For the mods, it's all pretty much the same. It's critical damage, critical chance, status, these galvanized mods with multi-shot, viral, lethal torrent. You can put something else. I use lethal torrent, and prime heated charge for heat, and you have a bunch of heat, 60 status chance, 45 crit chance, 4.2 critical multi in a small AoE or large AoE if you use alternatives. So yeah, that's the build I mostly use. 3 formas, not much at all. So how does the build work exactly? I start my game by pressing 2. giving myself, if you can see it top right, I give myself constant shield generation and my entire teams. Once I cap mine entire teams, I switch it between the ability strength for weapon damage. Most of the time I'll have ability strength on me 24/7. I think the weapon damage is barely anything. So then you press your fourth ability, press your third ability. When you're looking in direction, enemy's armor slowly starts to be removed. You press your 1 to do even more damage in AoE, also proccing Judgment. And then you press the alternative mouse button, which is middle mouse, and stuff like this happens. They all die in seconds. Even if you don't have your third ability on, which is the armor strip, and I just use my first ability and my alternative fire, it does a lot of damage right here. So they all dead from one alternative fire. It chunks. Not only that, because the alternative fire hits enemies multiple times because of the massive AoE, plus Judgment makes it even bigger. The heat procs can multi-hit the exact same enemy. So instead of me proccing 2 heat on them, it will proc, I think it was 14 in these 20 enemies here. Yeah, 14 as you can see there, 12 this guy, 18 that guy. So yeah, it procs a lot of heat as well. You can spam it. If an enemy is very tanky, you could just spam the alternative. And it's very, very, very powerful. Even if you, let's say you don't like the alternative, you can just press 1, press 3, get myself some energy, press 2, and then just shoot enemies. And her basic attack, it's pretty good. Low level missions, they all get 1 tap. For high level missions, they also die really, really fast. And I didn't have any problems with her ultimate at all. I think it's a very balanced exalted weapon. With also, she gets a lot of mobility because she can fly. 2 auras that give her airborne damage reduction. Her ultimate gives her damage reduction. She gives herself constant shield regeneration, and she's very, very tanky. My biggest downside to her is the existence of Overguard, because her 1 gives you and your entire team health generation when you're inside the bubble, and she also gives you and your entire team shield regeneration. But that's completely useless if there's a Warframe that gives everybody over 60,000 Overguard, like Dante or Stynex, or even Ember and Frost now. And she becomes like this support, she's no longer a support, she just gives the allies like ability strength, and that's it. She becomes like Equinox in day form. You just press your third ability, give everybody like what? 20% ability strength, and that's it. And it just feels to me the whole health regeneration, shield regeneration is kind of dying in my opinion. I think Overguard is just way too... Overguard, in my opinion, is 10 times better than health and shield combined, because Overguard scales infinitely. And you have Dante that presses his 2 ability once, and his ultimate that gives everybody 60,000 Overguard, which is way too much survivability. And not only that, it gives everybody status immunity, and nothing bypasses Overguard, so the whole shield and health regeneration or building for health and shield is completely useless now when you have Overguard. So that's my biggest downside of her first ability and her second ability existence. She just doesn't become a support, she's more like an aggressive support, I will say. And so yeah, that's the build. That's my opinion on her. I hope you enjoyed the build. And yeah, that's pretty much... I didn't make any Warframe YouTube video for a while now, so I'm going to be starting making Warframe YouTube videos again. I find them fun. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. This was Rainalon, and see you all next time. Thank you. Goodbye.